You're listening to the Unfiltered Faith podcast with Marty and Molly, where we're not afraid to talk about the ups and downs of this Christian life that we live. We hope that you enjoy this episode.
I can reach 1,000 lives, 1,000 lives, and give me the hands and the zeal, so in you I can heal 1,000 hurts. Father, use me to heal the sick.
All right, well, welcome everyone to episode 1 of the Unfiltered Faith podcast with Marty and Molly. We are your hosts. My name is Marty.
And I'm Molly.
And we are a married couple from right here in Sikeston, Missouri. And this is our introduction to podcasting as a couple. This is something that we both thought would be really fun and entertaining to do. So we started a Facebook page. We asked some of our friends some questions and things that they would like to know about us. So this, as our very first episode, is going to be an episode on getting to know us. So, are you excited?
A little bit.
A little excited, a little nervous.
A little excited, a lot nervous.
A little excited and a lot of nervous. Okay. Well, we've got some questions here that people are wanting to know. But first off, let's just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, babe.
I don't know what to say about myself.
It's pretty simple. Tell them who you are, how old you are, what you do for a living.
Well, I'm Molly, and I'm 37, and I'm a nurse. I just switched over from doing home health to hospice, and we have a new baby.
We do have a new baby. She's sleeping peacefully upstairs. For those of you all that know us, again, my name is Marty. I am almost 40 years old. I am a code enforcement officer here with the city of Sikeston, Missouri. This is the third podcast that I get the pleasure of hosting. I get to do this one with my wonderful wife. So we're going to dive into this, babe. A lot of our friends on Facebook, they know us, but some of us don't really know how we met exactly. So people want to know, how did we meet?
At church.
At church,
yeah.
Just that simple. So we've kind of known each other for a little while, but we've gone to church together. Yeah. And during that time, I'll go out on this one. I was going through a divorce from my previous marriage and going through that, and reached out to you, just, I don't know, looking for somebody to talk to. I mean, obviously you're beautiful and you're funny and you're actually you got just about as crazy a sense of humor as I got. Most people don't get to see that though, but you really do. And getting into that, our next question that people wanted to know is, what drew you to your significant other? And for me, like I said, I was going through a really difficult time and just wanted somebody to hang out with. I thought you were really cool. You seemed like a really nice person.
Are you going to cry?
No, I'm not going to cry.
Look like you're going to cry.
I'm not going to cry. It's the lights.
Sure.
That's the lights. It's the humidity down here messing with me. Yeah. What drew you to your significant other? You're just beautiful. And I don't know. I just wanted to take you out for dinner.
And you did, and here we are.
And we did, and here we are. Yeah.
I think for me, honestly, it was, like I said, we did meet in church, and coming from where I did come from and the relationship that I was in, and I honestly don't even know if you really ever even know. I know you know that I liked you before you liked me, though, and that's like...
Yeah, we have established that.
Yes, we have established that, but not everybody else knows that.
Now they do.
Now they do. That's why I was saying it.
It is on the airwaves from now until eternity.
That's okay, because you thought you made the first move, but I was really like...
She was making moves in her head the whole time.
Yeah, in my head. So anyway, I had Tucker at the time and a single mom, and just seeing how involved you were in the church just really kind of stuck out to me, because I just knew that we needed someone in our lives to like lead us and be like that head of the household and in the church and get us through all that, because we never had that.
Oh, all right. You may make me cry.
I might.
You may.
It's easy to do.
Yeah, you have a tendency of doing that.
It's easy to do.
So let's talk about something that you enjoy, and that was our first date. Where was our first date?
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
I was waiting for that. Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse. Still one of our favorite places to go.
Yeah.
I still remember the table we sat at.
Do you remember what I ate?
Very little. I think it was a chicken salad.
No? Salad. It was
a grilled chicken.
Barbecue chicken, something like that.
With steamed vegetables and all that.
And rice.
You were trying to look all healthy. And
I was healthy back then. I was healthy.
Well, go ahead and tell people.
I was trying to stay healthy along that path, and now it's went out the window.
Well, that's because you had a baby.
No, it's because I married you.
the barbecue king of Sykeston, Missouri.
Yeah, but hey, it was barbecue chicken though. It wasn't your barbecue chicken.
It wasn't my barbecue
chicken.
But they do have a very good barbecue chicken there.
It was good.
That is one of my second favorite things to get there.
Eat a lot because I was nervous, and now I lose track of how many rolls and breadsticks I eat when we're out. So yeah. So now it's all good.
It's usually Texas Roadhouse or Olive Garden.
Olive Garden, or Mexican.
Yeah, we eat a lot of Mexican food.
A lot of Mexican.
Which that's all we have here in town.
Twice this week.
We've got like 6 Mexican restaurants, maybe more.
Probably.
I don't know. I lose count. They're all delicious, though. They really are good. So speaking of dates, I was listening to another podcast today, one of my barbecue podcasts, and they were talking about the Mexican street corn, and they brought up Chili's, and I thought, ooh, we need to go to Chili's again.
We do need
sometime.
to go to Chili's.
Yeah. That'd be fantastic. We're going to have to work that out.
I have to go to Cape tomorrow. Maybe I'll just go eat lunch by myself.
Yeah, I'm not talking to you anymore. It's the end of this episode. So other people wanted to know, and I think we just touched on it though. What is our favorite place to eat together?
I would say home because I like to eat at home.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we're not cooking, we always a lot of times pick up food and bring it home.
Yeah.
So that we can relax.
Yeah, I do like the fact that I probably have more meals at the dinner table now than I've ever had in my life before.
Yeah.
I like that no matter what it is, we can sit at the table and talk about our day and kind of wind down, yell at the dog, make fun of the cat.
I thought you were going to say make fun of the kid.
Well,
we do.
Sometimes.
We do that too.
Sometimes. People wanted to know what are some of our favorite shows or movies to watch together. So I put in our notes here. We do have a show that became a pretty big part of our life. We stole a lot of music from this show for our wedding. And we'll get into that one. But what is one of your favorite movies?
One of my favorite movies?
Yeah.
I don't really have a favorite movie, do I?
I don't know.
I feel like this is a trick
would be
question.
your favorite.
I don't know. I don't think I have.
It's like, does my 600-pound life count as a movie?
Hey.
As much as you watch it, it probably is.
That's a good show.
Yeah. So favorite movie, you don't know, for most women, it's like Fried Green Tomatoes or something like that.
I don't really.
The Notebook. You don't know?
Not really.
I'm kind of the movie buff of the household. Yeah.
I don't really have favorites.
Okay.
I can't think of it because if you turned a movie on, I mean, and it's something I liked, it would just be like, oh, I love that movie.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be like, oh, that's my favorite movie. I don't know.
For me, I would say Shawshank Redemption. I love that movie.
That one was actually in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that is a good movie.
We do watch that one a lot. And the Green Mile's really good. Yeah. Our favorite show, as we just elaborated, you love your 600-pound life.
And 90 Day Fiancé.
90 Day Fiancé. Yeah. Which I can't make fun of your shows because I've been watching Oak Island ever since it started now, and I'm still watching people dig holes in the dirt for nothing.
You're still waiting on them to find something?
I'm still waiting on them to find something. So I'm a documentary nerd.
I was just going to say documentaries.
Yeah, I'm a documentary nerd. Whether it be paranormal investigation or I like true crime documentaries. We just binge watched the new Ted Bundy tapes.
No,
the John Wayne Gacy tape is made by the same people that made the Ted Bundy tapes. But
we did watch the Ted Bundy tapes. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so we just binge watched that, and that was a really good one. But one of our favorite shows that we shared together was one that I got the pleasure to introduce you to, and that was Nashville. So I've been a big fan of Nashville ever since it came out, being involved in music and loving country music as much as I do. I had watched Nashville since season 1, and when you came into my life, I think they were just getting ready to start their final season.
Was it?
Yeah.
Because I know, you finished it, and I watched it with you, and then we restarted the entire
I think there were,
show.
What was there, 8 seasons, I think?
I don't remember.
And I think, I had just finished the previous season, and maybe you caught an episode or so of that. Mm-hmm. And then the final season started to come out, and we binge watched from season 1, episode 1, all the way up until then. And the final season, I don't think there was probably a single episode of that final season that we didn't end up crying at by the end of it.
We. I don't remember.
No, it was me. It was definitely me.
No, it was definitely you, and everyone
It was definitely me.
that.
I cried like a baby at the final episode of Nashville when they did the big grand finale concert and everything. And I love it. I still watch it all the time. And
cried during the new Ghostbusters movie too.
The new Ghostbusters movie was a tearjerker. It was so good. I was like reliving my childhood. And then the ghost of Harold Ramis was there, and I started crying, and your son said to me, so I took Tucker to the theater with me to see Ghostbusters Afterlife. And if you've seen it, I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't seen it, spoiler warning, of course, the late, great Harold Ramis, his ghost comes back to help his granddaughter, who is one of the main characters of the movie. And I started crying, and Tucker looks over at me in the middle of this theater, and he goes, dude, are you crying? And I said, mind your business, boy. You wouldn't understand. And I think the people behind us heard because they started laughing and everything. So it was a fantastic movie. Next thing people want to know is, what is one of our favorite memories together? Lord knows we've made each other laugh a lot over the past few years.
Man, I was going to say it's hard to pick just one.
Yeah, it's like a night at the comedy club around here sometimes. And most people, would think that that's me, but honestly, it's you a lot more than me.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It is. I think I feed off of you.
You probably do.
We kind of feed off of one another.
Yeah, that could probably be bad.
Probably. But recent, I will say, you made me laugh so much while I was pregnant, because you just always, I don't even know, I can't even think of anything that you said, but just like everything you would say. And maybe that was just because the hormones.
I don't know. I'm really good at cracking one-liners.
Yes.
I get that from my dad.
Don't ever take him to a baby doctor appointment. Let me just throw that out there. But yeah, those were good. Those were good times. But yeah.
Those people probably thought I was crazy.
Probably.
So do you have a specific, maybe one memory that stands out? First date, second date, third date, fourth date, fifth date, whatever. Keep it PG.
Yeah, well.
This is unfiltered, but we don't want to be that unfiltered.
Yeah. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. What's your favorite memory?
My favorite memory would be our wedding day.
Wedding day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great day. You're so pretty. You're pretty every day, but man. So we got married at the back of the old Boot Hill golf course here in Sykeston.
And you cried.
I cried like a baby.
You cried enough for both of us that day.
I did.
So I didn't even cry.
I cried that day before the wedding even started. Mm-hmm. I was in the kitchen crying. I don't even know if you knew that. Mm-mm. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I was in the kitchen crying because I was just thinking of, everything that I had been through, and to get to where we were and to be marrying you. And, it just really, I would say everything just hit me. And of course, as my relationship with my dad and everything's, irreplaceable. And I just started crying because I just really wish he would have been there.
Yeah.
So he would love the crap out of you. So.
I know.
And this little girl that is still sleeping peacefully in this baby monitor.
That was a good memory when I was delivering her.
Yeah.
That was a really good memory. That was fun.
A really good memory here. The old one push wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One push and she flew out.
Yep. I don't even think the doctor was ready. About the time he turned, there she was. And she was so perfect. She's still perfect.
Yeah.
She is wonderful.
Yep.
This is a good one. I don't know if I'm qualified for this question or not. People wanted to know, what is some of the best relationship advice? I don't know if they wanted to know if some of the best relationship advice that we could give or that we've ever been given. So I would say whatever you could say there.
Okay, well, I would say what maybe we apply to our relationship. Like, what do we implement? Like, what do you do to make our relationship? You know what I mean? Like, maybe that's what they mean.
Okay.
I would say love is not a feeling, it's a choice. And I think that's something that you have to wake up and choose every single day to love your significant other. I mean, regardless of the good, the bad, because there's going to be good and bad all the time. Something that's really stuck with me too, when we did our premarital counseling, was that whole principle versus preference. And I have really drilled that into myself. I don't know about you, but that really stuck with me. And I use that a lot because I have really had to tell myself principle over preference with so many things that you do. So many things.
So many things.
And he still does not fold fitted sheets.
No, I can't fold fitted sheets.
Yeah, I think there's still a set wadded up in the hall.
I'm pretty sure there is.
Because I haven't got to them.
Yeah, unless you've gone back and fixed them. They're still
the way
in there.
you...
I can do the rest of them, but the fitted sheet, not happening.
You have learned to fold towels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're good with that.
I got that down.
You've got that down.
Lord knows I get enough practice.
And I think
laundry and dishes, I am a pro at that.
You are a pro.
Man, I'm getting good.
You're really good at that. High five. You're great.
Yeah.
What would yours be?
Probably, I mean, the best relationship advice that I would probably say I would have ever been given or would even give is honestly, it's just to be honest with each other. I think one of the things that I love about you is that I really can talk to you about anything and you'll listen, and you listen with the intent of understanding. You don't just listen to answer, you really do sit back and let me talk, and you'll let me vent, whether it's a good day or a bad day, and you'll take in all the details and you'll think before you reply. Mm-hmm. So I really like that.
I do too, because sometimes, especially not even just like responding to what you have to say, but even when I respond to like my feelings, it's better for me to kind of wait and not just like do it right then. Yeah. And that's why I'm quiet sometimes. You know that.
Yeah. And one of the other reasons we started doing this, and one of the questions is why did we decide to start a podcast? And we'll elaborate a little bit more on that. But I think just to go into that a little, one of the reasons we wanted to do this is because everybody that knows us always talks about like how perfect, you know what I mean? They're always like, oh, you guys are so perfect together. And it's like, no, not at all. I mean, we do have days where, we drive each other crazy, or, I know myself, I've got days where, I just struggle with things and I get hung up on things. And it's nice to be able to know that I can come and talk to you about that and know that I'm not going to get judged about it, or I'm not going to get criticized or anything like that. I know when things are bothering you, and I have to remind myself to not pester you about it and not bug you about it, because I know you're processing things, and I know you process everything through and you think everything through before you say anything, because that allows you to look at everything from the other angles, as far as not only what you're feeling, but what I may be feeling, or looking at not only what's going on in your life during whatever the issue may be, but also what's going on in mine, because I think that definitely has a different way of how we respond to it, whether it be just the pressures of the day or the pressures of life or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I look at that aspect with like almost everything, because even in the nursing field, and I tell people this all the time, because that's one of the biggest questions that I'm always asked is, how would you deal with just a really hostile patient? Like how would you de-escalate that situation? And that's like always my thing, is you have to look at it from their perspective. Like they don't want to be in the situation that they're in. So you have to do that. Like I have to look at it from your point of view. I have to look at it as, okay, what are you dealing with right now to make you give the response that you're giving? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And with your job and my job, I think we've both been through some sort of de-escalation training, verbal training with how to communicate with people, which, I think we're both very good at. You joke around a lot and say that you're not near as good at it as I am, but I really think you are. My job working in the community every day, really no different than your job doing what you do, because you're meeting new people every single day. And to be able to, in the field that you're in, to be able to build a relationship with these people as quick as you can, that does take, some skill. One of the reasons we got into this again, because as I told you before, you're actually a lot better at talking with people than you think you are. So I wanted to put a microphone in front of your face to get you used to it a little bit better. People want to know what led us as individuals to accept Christ as our Savior. You're pointing at me.
Yeah, you can go first.
I got to go first on this one,
I think I've been going first for a minute now.
Well, probably, because I'm the one asking the questions, but you can ask the next question.
I'll ask the next one.
Yeah. I think probably just about anybody that knows me has heard my story. I probably will cry on this one, because this one gets me every time. So I was born and raised right here in Sykeston, and my father owned his own business, and I started working and learning how to talk to people, how to shake hands, basically how to run and operate a business and carry myself in a professional manner. I started learning all of that when I was 8 years old. And through all of that, I never had what I would call a normal childhood, I would say. I had friends that I got to play with and things like that, but my day was always work and then play. I went to church a couple times with friends, usually because we didn't have anything to do, or there was a girl there that I liked. That's just the way it was back then. But I had never been in any kind of trouble or anything like that. I was always a pretty good kid. I never had any kind of problems with drugs or anything like that. When I got, I'm not going to say legal drinking age, but when I got close to legal drinking age and I kind of dabbled in alcohol and things of that such. And in that time, I had actually met my ex-wife, who I have 2 children with. And when my first child was born, my daughter, Caitlin, she contracted RSV and she was in the hospital, and it was not good. As a nurse, that's dangerous. And I just went home and broke down. I had 2 very good friends that had started going to church and were trying to talk me into it, trying to get me to come and hang out with them and get involved in this church with them. And, I always kind of pushed it to the side as like, man, I don't have to go to church. I don't have, I'm a good guy. I don't have to do any of this stuff and all that. Pretty much the same reasons like most everybody does now. But, nearly losing my first child, I just went home and broke down, and, I kind of cursed God and called him, every name except the good ones. And I just kind of made a bet with him that if he would take care of my little girl, that I would walk away from everything. And over the next couple days, the wires and the needles and the monitors and all that started to disappear, and my little girl got healed, and I just knew that I had something to do. And it hasn't been easy. There's been days where, just recently with, my divorce and everything, when I went through that, there was a time then where I was just like, man, I'm just walking away from all of this stuff. It seemed like life was easier when I could just do what I wanted to do, and thought that there were, no repercussions or nothing like that. But, then things changed and you came along and you've pushed me to be better. I'm not going to be one of these like stereotypical, oh, you complete me, you make me so much better. No, but like you encourage me to try to get better. Mm-hmm. And that's what, I love about it. So that's my answer. Now it's your turn.
Yeah. Now you're crying. So
I'm not crying. It's the lights.
You can wipe your tears over there while I answer this question. So mine, I will say I was in a pretty rough relationship prior to Marty, obviously. And a lot of people probably know that. Some don't. And finally, 2.5 years after having my son, we were together probably almost 6 years, and Tucker was about 2.5. And I finally got the courage to walk out and leave. I mean, it was still back and forth even after I left. We never had that foundation. Like we never went to church. He was, in and out of prison before we ever even got together. He was constantly in trouble. So he was just one of those people that anytime I would say anything about, church, anything like that, he always had negative to say about it. And so I finally got the courage to walk away from that, and then actually left July of 2012. And in November of 2012, or no, it was August. I left in July, and I believe it was August that I found out, maybe September, that I had early ovarian cancer. And that was a super scary time having a 2.5-year-old. So thankfully though, I mean, it's crazy because I think I was 26, 27, something like that. Yeah. And just the doing the research, like 20% of women that have ovarian cancer actually find out early enough that there's no negative effects. And I found out early and had to have no treatments, nothing. It was a 20-pound tumor size of a basketball. They removed it and nothing else ever came from it. I mean, it's been, what was it, like 6-7 years ago, I think I was released, I believe.
Yeah, it was right before I came along.
No, we were together because, I was still going every 6 months, I think, when we were together.
I think you had like 1 or 2 appointments after we met for that. Yep.
Yeah, once or twice more, and then they released me. So really just like in that time, I, started going to church, and it's just one of those things where even today, like I know they always tell you, God has a purpose for you. And sometimes I just still don't really know what that is. And I don't understand why other people are coming up and they have cancer and they're having treatments and, it's unsuccessful. And, in the nursing field, it's hard to watch that. And it's like, I don't understand why it was so easy for me. if that makes sense. Like I've still never understood that. And I guess that's just kind of my why, because that's God. Like I know that's a God thing. Like it's 100%. And, you know, I just felt like if he could do that for me, like there's nothing I could ever do to repay that. And then my sister and him actually invited me to Cape First there in Sykeston, and that's why I started going. And thankfully I did. Yeah. Because I met you.
Yay. And now you've got a microphone in front of your face.
Yeah, now I have a microphone in front of my face, living happily ever after.
Yep. What's our next question then, babe?
Favorite scripture and why? What's yours?
All right, so I've got my U version here pulled up, and I've got a lot highlighted.
Do we have to actually read? We have to read the whole thing out, or I can't just tell you what my verse is?
You can.
Okay.
But I wanted to pull mine up because
that's just more talking.
Mine is probably a small piece of scripture that a lot of people probably wouldn't think about, but it was a big thing that I had to realize in my life. So I'm reading out of Matthew chapter 16, and I'm starting in verse 13, and it says, "When Jesus arrived in the villages of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, 'What are people saying about who the Son of Man is?' They replied that some think he is John the Baptizer, some say Elijah, some say Jeremiah or one of the other prophets. And Jesus pressed them, 'And how about you? Who do you say I am?'" And this is my favorite scripture here from Matthew chapter 16, verse 16. And this is Simon Peter, and he says, "You are the Christ, the Messiah, the Son of the living God." And the reason that's my favorite scripture is because that is the same realization that I had to come to. And what I love about it is what follows in verses 17 through 19. And that's the promises that come with realizing that. And it says that Jesus came back and said to him, "God bless you, Simon, son of Jonah. For you did not get this answer out of books or from teachers. My Father in heaven, God himself, let you in on the secret of who I really am. And now I'm going to tell you who you really are." And that is awesome to me. Because like you said, I still, even today, I struggle with like what God wants me to do. I mean, I've been everything from a worship leader to a youth pastor to, I volunteer for everything. And it's just like, I feel like this huge call of leadership on my life, but I've had to realize that leadership doesn't just come with being on a stage, and that leadership is, I'm a leader regardless of, what I'm doing. And I look now and I look at the people who volunteer at our church. I look at the guys who are leading men's groups now who started out in my men's group, and I couldn't even barely get them to say their name, and now they're leading groups. And I'm like, man, it took me forever to realize it, but it's like, I had even just a little part in doing that, and I think that's really cool, because a lot of times when we look at leadership in church, we think it's, preaching, teaching, singing, things like that. And I mean, I'm still involved with our worship team. I play guitar, I play bass, and, anything I can. Honestly, I don't know much on piano, but I'd even do that if they needed me to. And just the volunteering and, the people that I deal with daily. And it's like my mindset on what leadership has had to change. But we go back to this, and Jesus tells him, I'm going to tell you who you really are. He says, "You are Peter, a rock, and on this rock on which I will put my church, a church so expansive with energy that not even the gates of hell will be able to keep it out." He says, continues in verse 19, he says, "And that's not all. You will have complete and free access to God's kingdom, keys to open any and every door, and no more barriers between heaven and earth or earth and heaven." Man, I love that, because again, being there myself, I had this idea of what God was, and I put him in a very small box, and realizing through the things that he's done in my life that, like you said earlier, like if he can do this stuff for me, like there's really nothing that he can't do. Mm-hmm. And I just love that, so that's a piece of scripture that a lot of people probably just blow by. But, when I heard that, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God," I was just like, oh, I've been there and done that, so it really stuck with me. I know I talk a lot.
Yeah, I can't follow up on that one. So
yeah, you can.
Skip to the next question.
Yeah, you can.
Mine, clearly I have it tattooed on my wrist. So it's Jeremiah 29:11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future." So pretty much, and the tattoo has the Bible verse, has the infinity sign and an anchor on it. And I get a lot of people that ask me, was I in the Navy, when they see that tattoo? And I'm like, nope.
Because you got a boat anchor on your arm?
I have an anchor on my arm. You would not believe the amount of people that ask me that. And I'm like, It's
about like everybody that asks me if I'm a police officer.
Yeah, but I don't even look like I would be in the Navy. But anyway, the reason behind that tattoo is, again, everything, in my past, I've come a really, really long way from where I was before. And the anchor is, God is my anchor, and his love for me is infinite. And just the Bible verse itself is his plans far exceed what I could ever hope for myself, to be honest, just because I've came so far. And I mean, who knows how much further I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were with me during my youth pastor days, and, I don't know if I'd call it just a youth pastor or youth leader or however it was, but, we got to help lead a youth ministry. And one of the things that a lot of people always came up and asked me about, and it's questions I've wondered myself, and you just said it again, you've said it multiple times, is that, we don't know what God has planned for us. And a lot of the things we go through, we don't understand, and we don't know why. And as I've told multiple people and multiple students, and for those of you that don't know, we call this the Unfiltered Faith podcast because Marty generally has no filter.
Not at all.
I tell all my guys in groups that I'm in and everything that I will help them through anything, but I'm about as blunt as it comes. I can't sugarcoat things. I can't tell you that, now that you're in a relationship with God, that life's going to be easy and grand and everything, because it's not. But what I've told multiple people is that if we knew what God had planned for our life, we would find a way to screw it up. Because as people, we think that we have to have this control. It's my life and I can do what I want to do. And when you get into this relationship with Christ, you have to put that away. The Bible tells us that we have to take up the cross every day. And in doing that, we have to lay our life aside and pick up a life that is a representation of Jesus. And again, if I knew even what he was going to do in my life tomorrow, I would find a way to mess that up.
Right.
It's crazy when you get into this thing and you get to look back on things that have happened in your past that, you thought were the hardest times you could ever go through. And then you look at today and you realize, I posted about it on Facebook earlier, that, the storm wasn't meant for destruction. It was meant to clear a path for you to get to where you are today. And I saw that. I straight up stole that from somebody, but I cannot remember who that was.
Did you post that? I remember seeing that.
Yeah, that was, yes, I would say it was a word from the Lord, but it wasn't like I woke up this morning and the Lord was like, Marty, I need you to. No, I saw it from somebody. It hit me in my heart and I was like, oh man. Mm-hmm. And that's why I shared that. Because again, I know with everything that I've been through and everything you've been through, we're not the only two people on this earth that deal with struggles like that. So I think both of us we're always trying to find ways to help people, honestly, whether we realize it or not. We have got one last question here. Are you going to take this one?
What led us to start a podcast? My answer, Marty made me do it.
Marty made me do it.
Marty made me do it.
Yes, Marty did make her do it.
Let me just say, though, I agreed to it because, again, I love him and I know how passionate he is about this, and I just want him to enjoy it. And if I can be a part of it, then that's what I'm going to do.
It gives us something to enjoy together.
Yeah, and it gives us
making more memories.
More memories.
So you and I had kicked around the idea of leading a couples life group in our church. And then we found out we were going to have a baby. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of, I would say it's kind of difficult. Probably, I wouldn't know because we didn't do it, but I would say it's probably pretty difficult to lead a life group out of your home with 8 to 10 other people in your home every week with a newborn baby and on a newborn baby schedule. Now, we are surrounded by, I'm going to be biased here because I firmly believe that we are surrounded by one of the best church families that I've ever had in my life. Mm-hmm. I'm not one of these people. I don't look at just my church, and you and I are the same way on that. Like, we know where we serve on Sunday mornings, but we will both drop what we're doing to help another church in town if something's going on, be it an event or if we have friends that go there and they need help with anything. I used to be just solely about what can this place do for Marty. And I found out the hard way what that gets me, which was not good. So I had to change my heart and my mind and look at, as our pastor says, what I can do for the kingdom. Mm-hmm. And I had to change that mindset and realize that, even though these other churches in town, they may be different denominations or anything like that, but ultimately we are all trying to lead people to Christ. And I am all for that. So yeah, we help anybody in any way we can. But back to this, with having a new baby, we realized that leading a life group in our home probably wasn't the greatest idea. And then next thing we know, we were having a baby, literally in the hospital having a baby. And then 2 weeks later, it was time to sign up for life groups. And we were like, hold up, where did time go? And I know we were talking about it, and I host not only this, but 2 other podcasts as well. And I've really started to get into this. I remember coming out into our bedroom and I said to you, do you realize that I have the equipment downstairs to not only reach maybe the same 8 or 10 people that were going to be in our life group, but possibly hundreds, thousands, if not more, whatever this thing could grow into? Because I said, I've got recording equipment that we could record a podcast on and do something life group like there, which we are going to do. We're going to come back in our next episode and talk about some other topics and things that the idea behind this is that we want to talk about the things that most of your church going, as you want to call them, Christian folk are kind of scared to talk about. We really want to push that limit because, we're human too. And I don't think that we can help each other if we're lying about our struggles. I'm an open book, and I'm perfectly fine with telling people about the ways I screw up and, how many times a day I do it or anything like that. Because I can't help people if I'm lying to them from the first word out of my mouth. So that's what led us to start a podcast. Now, I think out of all the equipment that I told you I had that we could use, I honestly don't think I'm using a single bit of it now because I nosedived off a cliff and purchased all kinds of podcasting equipment.
Yes, you did.
But quality equipment brings quality product. So it's been really entertaining. I've got a really comfortable space down here that we can do this in.
What space is that?
This is as I call it, the Bat Cave, because I can't call it the Man Cave because you're in it right now. So I just call it the Bat Cave.
But how did you acquire this space?
Oh, well, This was Tucker's bedroom. It's not like I kicked him out. He had been sleeping upstairs anyway.
The monsters kicked him out.
Yeah, Tucker was afraid that there's a monster down here, which, as I told him, shameless plug here for those of y'all that don't know, I'm also a paranormal investigator and a historical preservationist with the American Ghost Project here out of Sykeston. I also host the American Ghost Project podcast. But I told him, I said, dude, what are you worried about monsters in our house for? Because, me and the guys can come over here and kick their butts. But with having the baby and everything, he was just a lot more comfortable upstairs. So he moved upstairs and we converted his room into the Bat Cave that we have now.
Yep.
So, and this is my little hangout spot. I've got a really big TV and a really nice brand new computer that I get to play with every day.
It's a box.
It's a Mac Studio.
Looks like a box.
It looks amazing. So what led us to start a podcast? We want to help people. I've had this vision in my head for a long time. I've got a good friend of mine that works in the podcast industry. If you're a Memphis Grizzlies fan, go check out the Sports Ethos Memphis Grizzlies podcast. My good friend David Williams is the host of that. Shout out to him, one of my best friends, not just a best friend, he's a brother to me. And he really helped me get this off the ground. He was another one of the guys who was pivotal in getting me involved in church too. So great guy.
He's okay.
He's okay. Yeah. I've had this idea in my head forever that I wanted to give people a platform to come on and share things that God had done in their life and understanding that you can't talk about the good things that God's done in your life unless you talk about the bad things. And I think that's what a lot of people are scared to talk about. So I've got some friends that I'm talking to that I'm trying to match up schedules with and get them here to share their stories. Some pastors, some people involved in church leadership and things like that hopefully we can get in here and talk to in the near future. Get this out. Ultimately, again, helping people get to know Christ and hopefully taking the first steps in that relationship. You got anything else to say?
No.
No? Well, we've been going for about 45 minutes now, I believe. I'm pretty proud of you because, again, you haven't thrown up in the floor or anything like that. I think you did really good. So, guys, we are going to wrap this thing up, and I'm going to get all this put together. I plan on releasing this as a video on YouTube, and then we will share it through our social media after that. We're going to get a few episodes in before I release this to podcast streaming platforms, be it Apple or Spotify or anything like that. I'd really like to have about a half a dozen episodes to submit to that so that people have plenty of content to listen to as more is coming out. But there you go. I hope you guys know a little bit more about us maybe than you did when we started. And you can find us on Facebook at the Unfiltered Faith Podcast with Marty and Molly. And if you guys got any more questions, anything you would like us to talk about, or if you've got some things going on in your life and you need somebody to pray for you, reach out to us, send us a message. If you know us personally, you've got our numbers. Don't be scared to call us, text us, whatever you can. We just want to help people, and that's what we're here for. Thank you so much for listening to the Unfiltered Faith Podcast with Marty and Molly. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your friends, and be sure to go to our Facebook page and give us a like and a follow so that you can keep up to date with the show. Also, if you liked the music you heard today, go check out our good friend Doug Johnson at DougJohnsonLive.com. Once again, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
I'll raise the dead, give sight to the blind, and I'll find what it takes to reach 1,000 times. I know I'll make mistakes, but if 1,000 times is what it takes in me,